Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of our Community Access. This week is a great show for you. This week we went to the Koenig Sand Gravel in Oxford and you will get the history of the pit. Then the young Marines have a presentation for you. And finally, we visited the open house at the Lakeville Mill. So forget the open, let's watch our Community Access.
See on the right is we had mined in one area and mined in another area, but there's a big mound in the middle. So what you're going to see on the left right here is we're in the process of knocking down some more of the hills, so it's so it's more level. So if you look down there, you see the high end of the top side of the hill, straight over. So every bit of that height and more went all the way across. Went all the way across to up towards where the scale was.
Wow!
So what we've done this past year is we've come in here. We're knocking down the hills on both sides. We're grading around. This is, I don't know if you'd call it a nature preserve, but this is, I think it's about 13 acres.
That's gorgeous.
Wow, that's nice.
So you're going to see, it's going to look like two lakes. But all of this, see where all this grading was done on the left, was all the height of that hill behind it.
Wow.
So we're cleaning all of this up, working around the lake. Before, you couldn't even see that there was we call it a nature area.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You couldn't even see that it was out there. A year ago. You had no clue that was even there.
I love how you can look down onto it now.
So we've been knocking the hills down on the right, knocking the hills down on the left.
Wow.
And again, these are areas that have been mined in the past that we're just cleaning up. So, some people are going to want that because it'll be private, and there'll be different animals in their backyard.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see that a year ago. And in the spring, the water levels are up, so you don't see some of the lily pads. Leveled and cleared out all of this past year. That was all the elevation of this high spot right here. And the purpose was so you could see the lake, see the nature area.
Hi, Bill. I've been around Oxford for a lot of years, and I'm in a place where I've never been before. I'm getting a new perspective on Oxford. Lately, I've talked to a lot of people that didn't even realize we're sitting in a gravel area. So I decided to come up to Koenig Sand and Gravel. Actually, what better person to talk to about the history of the gravel industry in Oxford than Peter Fredericks, CEO of Koenig Sand and Gravel, and we're going to get the history of this company. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Sure. We're glad to help out and glad to answer any questions you may have.
You have a lot of history of this company, right? You know from the beginning. And I just asked you if it started out as sand and gravel or what brought Koenig Sand and Gravel to Oxford besides gravel.
Okay. Actually, it is Koenig Sand and Gravel. We're up on Lakeville Road in Oxford. We had started back in 1870. It was the Peter J. Koenig Coal Company back in 1870, and he started out down in Detroit on Gratiot and Ripel with a coal and a wood yard. And so he started many years back. He came over from Germany, and he would have been my great-great-grandfather 4 generations ago. What had happened was he started in the coal and wood, progressed into the concrete, progressed into the sand and gravel, progressed into the fuel oil business. So we continuously ran all those for many, many years. And over a period of time, some of the branches have changed. The fuel oil business has basically become basically non-extinct or extinct, I should say. We sold the purpose of the sand and gravel operation was we bought it in approximately 1922. We've had it for many, many years, and we started a washing plant and a sand and gravel operation out here in 1924. So at that time, or shortly after, it was known as the gravel capital of the world. We started producing the sand and gravel with the purpose of providing the material to our concrete plants in Detroit. So we had 4 concrete plants. We used to run 2 locomotives out of here, and so we ran our own locomotives. We had our own boat company in Detroit that worked out in Lake Erie, but we were providing materials for the concrete plants down in Detroit. As I understand it, we had as many as 100 gravel trains a day coming out of here, and it was a tremendously busy place. We had what has since happened is we sold the concrete division in 2004, and so that is a different part of our operation, it was a different part of our operation that was a subsidiary of Koenig Company. We've continued this operation, and I had a brother that ran this operation who retired several years ago, but at one point in time he thought he was going to sell a portion of the property to a developer. That deal had unfortunately fallen through when the market crashed, and he very shortly thereafter retired and told me to figure it out.
All done.
So I'm just starting back up here. I've only been here a couple years, and a few years full-time up here when my contract was done on the concrete side.
What brought your great-great-grandfather to Oxford to begin with? How did he figure out this is a great place to be?
I think he came strictly because of testing over a period of testing and trying to find out where there would be aggregate reserves for the concrete business, is my understanding. I don't know if there are any other reasons or not, but that was my understanding. And,
well, he certainly brought a lot of commerce to this area as well. When I talk to people in the community, I'm always digging what kind of industry did we have at that time, and at that time, and everybody goes back to gravel. It's the gravel.
Right. As I understand it, Koenig Company is actually in the top 20 of the oldest companies in the states.
Wow.
And what I found through reading the different articles is we're actually the first mining company and the oldest mining company in Oxford. So it really was truly to provide the material to our concrete plants. We're making just a handful of products that we used to make because we are basically starting back up. We're making mostly fill materials, sands, road gravels, boulders, topsoil, things like that are of benefit to predominantly truckers, excavators, and landscapers.
Catching this? Turkeys. They're everywhere.
Cool. Lovely.
So what we're doing back in here is we're making road gravel back in here. So we'll have a couple loaders. These plants will screen and size and crush the material. We don't have a crusher in here right now, but we will on occasion. To answer your question, I probably didn't answer this properly before, but we will bring an outside crusher in on occasion and crush the material. So you put the material basically in the hopper. It goes through a series of screens and sizes it so that you have greater than 1 inch going one way, 1 inch to maybe 3/8 inch going another direction, and 3/8 minus falling through the bottom. So they'll make the different sizes, and then in this case they'll crush it to make what they call 23A, which is this product right here.
Oh, okay. So that's already been done.
Yes. So that's what they'll put on the roads, on some of the roads in the area. We do keep a small amount of miscellaneous materials, so you've got some limestone products and some crushed concrete products that are, more than anything, they're just I would say they're probably just a service to the customers, that we're not making those here, but we have those available in case when the customers come in they need a little bit more material.
So the limestone comes from elsewhere.
Yeah, that would become mostly from, much of the limestone comes from the lower southwest portion of the state, like down around Rockwood. And then there's also some up on the northeast side of town. This is an example. We had a customer, some people are looking for fill material just to bring the grades up, that apparently there are several projects out there now that just need fill. So this is what they call the stripping material. And what happens is you'll go in, pull off the topsoil, and then there's material that's clay and sand like that before you get to all the stone. And so that pile was probably put up 50 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so we've got some customers that say, I need clean fill. It's not something been brought back, not something hazardous, not something contaminated. And so we'll sell them piles like that. For instance, back here, we own property up there, up on the hill there, and if you actually go up there and look down, we've talked about whether it makes sense to put a lake down in there, because it's absolutely gorgeous from the perimeter, thinking if someone wanted to build homes up there. So a year ago, this whole area was the same elevation as that hill right there on the left. Wow. So we cleaned all this out and been grading it and leveling it, cleaning it up. You put the material in that hopper right there. The big stuff hits those grates and falls down. The smaller stuff goes through, goes up there, and it gets, there's screens up inside of that thing that shakes as well. And then the small stuff goes through there, up the conveyors, and that's what makes your fill sand piles or sand piles. We're in the process of moving this equipment out right here. We did have a scale back here. We had a scale and all of our equipment was back here, and we ran everything off of a generator.
Oh, wow.
And so just this past year we moved all that up to the front and are in the process of moving the rest of the material and or selling any equipment that we're not using back here. What we're trying to do is to figure out if we start from the west side and move east. What we're going to try to do is finish the west side so that it's closer for the truckers, closer for the customers and for our employees, but at the same time finish the property, finish off an area, and get it ready for whatever we're going to do with it. So we've done a lot cleaning up in here. That, of course, over there was where the precision pipeline guys were, and so they still have some.
That wood is all theirs, right? All those logs out there. And
just so you know, that those are oak. There's no creosote in those.
Oh, okay.
Because every once in a while we'll get someone that will ask, what are those? We're worried about the water table.
Oh, okay.
And there's no creosote in those. Those are just straight wood. So, but anyway, so we cleaned up a lot of this, and then we've been doing the same in other areas throughout the property.
And you have how many acres? 1,200?
Just shy of 1,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically from here to Oxford Road.
Yeah. So we go from Lakeville Road on the south to Ray Road on the north, to Ballantyne Road on the east, and North Oxford on the west.
Wow.
So it's a big footprint.
That's got to be hard to patrol that.
Yeah, it is. So last year, most of our material piles were like right here and right in front of us. So what we want to do is we want to finish the reclamation, finish all the berms, finish the slopes off. So you'll see it's towards the water tower. It's sloped over there. That's the type of slope that the township wants.
Oh, okay.
And so what we'll do in the future is we'll do the same with the same slopes.
All the way
we'll
to the
continue
west.
to the end and to the west, on the north and the west and the south, just in that one little area there. And we'll finish that off so that it has a slope like that around the perimeter. And then in the meantime, what we're doing is we're continuing to balance and reclaim the property so that ultimately when we're done mining, it will become a spot for a future development.
Beautiful lake communities, really.
Yeah.
The amount of gravel pit lakes that we have around here that have grown into beautiful communities.
Yeah.
So it's not like you've come in and just kind of let it go and destroyed the property. Well, I think I can speak for most everyone in this community, if not everyone. I think you're good neighbors. I think you always have been. I know there's always two sides of every business in a community, but this community owes its community, I think, to you and the operation, and it's really a joy to find out about it. I've watched it for years. And I really appreciate that you had us here, and I'm glad to hear that you're back and starting it up again.
Yeah, I think in relation to the community, it's my understanding we're the largest contiguous landowner in the community.
I believe that.
And now there may be some other people that have different parcels kind of scattered all over.
Of farms or something.
Yeah, but so we've been paying our share of the taxes over the last few years, which has been
certainly goes beyond my memory, and I remember as a little girl seeing all the gravel operation here and the big piles on 24 and up and down here, and you were talking about the drag out there. I remember that.
Right,
It's been nice talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Hopefully I answered your questions.
You sure did.
So, okay.
Phil, back to you.
Tell your friends that you can watch that story on OCCTV.org. Next up is a presentation for the Young Marines.
Hi, I'm Rich Dion with the North Oakland County Young Marines, and we're here to talk to you about Red Ribbon Week, which is a national event sponsored by the DEA and supported by the Young Marines organization. So tell us a little bit about what Red Ribbon Week is about.
Red Ribbon Week is about the life of Kiki Camarena and what he did for our nation and the DEA program.
And who was Kiki Camarena?
He was in the program of DEA, and he busted several drug dealers. But one time when he went over to the borders of Mexico to catch another drug dealer, they actually captured him, then tortured him, then eventually killed him.
So what are we doing with Red Ribbon Week?
We are trying to reduce drug use among teens, kids, so we can live in a drug-free community that we want to live in, other than something that's dangerous and people are crazy. We're trying to reduce drug use.
Excellent. And Mr. Pearson, can you tell me something that we're doing here in our community to promote Red Ribbon Week?
Well, this Saturday we are having a gun show down at the Oxford American Legion Hall, and a couple of us Young Marines will be down there handing out information about Red Ribbon Week.
And Mr. Dion, what are you going to be doing for Red Ribbon Week?
I'm going to be at my school and my sister's school and just telling people about this. You people can too. Go to your schools, your church, anywhere you can, and tell people don't do drugs. It's horrible.
Excellent. Thank you, Young Marines. Can I get a motivation check?
Good job, Young Marines. Next up, the open house at the Lakeville Mill.
Welcome to the Lakeville Mill. The Lakeville Mill was a grist mill built back in 1847. About 11 years ago, I bought the building when it had a flat roof on it, and have been working on it a number of years. we are complete, waiting for a septic system to go any further. But we're going to take a tour through the building here and show you some neat things that we're built back in 1847, start of which the wood itself is amazing that the structure was able to be built. They brought the wood from Lapeer. It took 3 days by horse to get it here. And it speaks about it all in the Addison Township album, historical album that's actually available.
Keep your voice on. I want to introduce Mr. Bruce Pearson, who is the supervisor of Addison Township. I listened to his little talk on the history of Addison Township 2 years ago at the Oakland County Heritage Conference, and it was very entertaining. Matter of fact, he was dressed in a Revolutionary War, I'm not sure, uniform?
Yeah, Continental soldier.
And Brooks Patterson was upstage, let me tell you. So we are going to enjoy this presentation, although he doesn't have the uniform today. Thank you.
Well, Todd told me not to wear it. No. Anyways, my name is Bruce Pearson. I am the Addison Township Supervisor. I was the deputy sheriff out here for 33 years. I was the first deputy that opened up the Oakland Township substation. And when we first came out, and my passion is history. I've traveled all over the world on motorcycle, and I go to historical places. So it's my passion. So when you hear me talk, it's from the heart, okay? And these are the things I love. In Addison Township, we have so much history here. I mean, so much history. And the good thing is we caught it before people started tearing it down and burning it, okay? Todd, we're so appreciative of what he has done to restore this. And he's helping us with the Leonard Mill. That's another mill you can go up and look at. He put the whole roof on it. I mean, without these kind of talents and volunteers and stuff, none of this would happen. And in generations to come, people are going to say, who had the forethought to do this? Well, it's people like Todd and the other people I have as volunteers. But anyways, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Addison Township, okay? As you know, 1817, people started settling in Rochester. That's where the first house was built, the first European child was born, somewhere right behind where the Detroit Edison building used to be. And I found the marker. And I also find the marker as well. As a patrolman, you know, if you have a lot of leisure time when you're not writing tickets and making people mad, I can go look at the historical markers all around the county, and so that was my hobby, okay? But anyways, this area here was all Indian territory. And around 1826, 1827, it was finally opened up. It was government land, and somebody did purchase one parcel, and of course they took the choice area, which was right here at the southern part of the Lakeville Lake. They were like 5 ponds up there. There was no lake up there. But nothing got started till about 1830. 1830, then all of a sudden they decided, you know, they followed where the power was, of course, the mill, okay, and that's throughout all of Michigan. It's a water power. In New England, same thing. It was like the utility company of today. So anyways, around 1830, they started this little town of Lakeville. It was never incorporated, though. It was platted, but Lakeville has no status. It's a crossroad. I'm not sure. I think Goodison is also, they're not, but yet it's on the map. Everybody sees it, and everybody knows that as Lakeville, but it has no status. Now, Leonard has status, but it didn't come until 1883 or 1887, actually. But it has status because they became a village. But everybody still knows Lakeville. Lakeville was the center of commerce here, and this is where our township offices are because this is the crossroads here, the most important part of our township. Anyways, 1837, of course, I think it was Addison Chamberlain was a big founder of this area right here, and that is what this township is named after. But I'll get into that a little bit. 1837. Of course, everybody knows of the War of 1837, correct? That's where we succeeded from Oakland Township. We had declared our independence, you know, no representation, you know, taxation, whatever. But we were part of Oakland Township. This was all Oakland Township. 1837, we became the state of Michigan, 26th state. and we became our own township. Now, there were two prominent men in town here. Was Addison Chamberlain and Mr. Willie. I think they flipped the coin as to how we were going to name the township, and I'm certainly glad that we named it Addison Township and not Willie Township. Okay. So, because the most important thing is when I go to all the county meetings and everything, and they have projects or road construction or gravel or whatever, okay, I always tell them it goes by alphabetical order. So Addison gets theirs first always, and Willie, you know, I could say, well, Willie Township we would get ours last. So anyways, I'm certainly glad that they did pick Addison as the name. This was a stagecoach area. The bridge was actually back here. This was the main street. You did not cross up by the water up here. That was the mill pond and the race coming down here. So the stagecoaches used to come up here, and if they wanted to go to Dryden and everything, they had to cross back here and go up this way. If you wanted to go to Oxford, you went this way. Now, of course, you see there's a road up by the bottom of the lake. Okay, and of course, yes, you were right. The mill ponds. Mill ponds, people don't understand. They had all kinds of power because they actually controlled the water. The people who all built around there and everything had no say as to the level of the water. We still have one mill pond in Addison Township, which is Secord Lake, and that's on Secord Road, and that man still owns all of the rights, and he can decide whatever he wants for the lake. This one here, the Dunns, they built World War I machine gun parts here in the thing. Well, they had approached them way back when the residents in the 1940s wanted to control the lake, and he said, well, just make sure you give me electricity. Well, they didn't do it, so he did whatever he wanted with the lake, and of course then the Oakland County Drain Commission, everything got involved. And in 1960 he got his electricity and they got their level on the lake, and that's how Lakeville is set now. So anyways, this was a stagecoach stop, and this was a post office, 1836, right here in town. If you notice, this is the main town. This is where it was all at, right through here. We had hotels here, blacksmiths. There was an ice house here. There were several hotels here, and this was the main street, and it still is commercial. Even though you see residential houses here, they're non-conforming. When they go down, we don't allow them to build back residential because it is a commercial area. So that's good for Todd, okay, because this is a commercial building, and he is conforming.
Third floor. This is the ballroom. This was not used much in recent years, but this was a big floor. You can see how high we are off the ground, especially looking out this way. Originally, this ceiling was 3 feet taller. This was a 14-foot ceiling on this floor, which is really unique that you didn't see that. They took the roof off many years ago. When I bought it, it was a flat roof. So they put there was a tarred roof on top of this with metal, and it was sloped. They cut all that wall down and each of the timbers, and had a slight slope on it, so there's a gutter along that back wall. Whoever wants to go on the next floor, that's the scariest. All my carpentry career, being on that edge was the scariest thing. So we rebuilt the roof up there on top of there was tar, and then there was a metal roof put on it. It leaked. We built the new gable walls, painted them, put the windows in, stood them up so we didn't have to go up there on our scaffolding, and then put the roof on. And then we eventually re-lowered that end so that this next floor is level again. Very interesting floor. This new flooring here, you couldn't have walked any. There were lots of holes in the floor where belts had come through. It's a very unique floor. Raccoons were living on the beams while we were working. It's quite interesting.
Thanks for watching our Community Access. So far, reporter and award editor Terry Stiles. I'm Bill Service, and you have a great, great week.